Well, for more on the political implications, let's bring back in Chris Harvey, Wells Fargo head of equity strategy. I mean, Chris, in your equity strategy, and your day in day out.
Chris, I'm just watching Chris's face.
I'm waiting for it.
Where does this even? What percentage of the considerations during the analysis and looking across the markets and scanning what's really taking place under the water would you say that this takes up?
This is a very, very small percentage in our day-to-day, right? It makes a lot of headlines. It causes a lot of back and forth, a lot of banter, makes some people happy, some people sad. But at the end of the day, does it affect monetary policy? Does it affect the application of AI or the acceptance of AI? Does it affect inflation or things that are driven by the capital markets? Money coming in, money going out? No. It really just doesn't have, in our view, a big effect on the capital markets. It makes for great TV, it makes for great news headlines, but at the end of the day, it's not a driver of stock price, multiples, earnings, inflation, things of the such.
Over the longer term, right? I mean, I think when you're looking at the various policies, once someone gets into office, the tariffs, for example, you could argue were a driver of, on corporate balance sheets, but we don't really know yet what we're going to have on that front.
We don't know who's going to be the winner or the winner of the primary, the GOP primary. And so what we're doing is we're speculating about speculation. And that's just not productive at the end of the day. And it's really to handicap something like that and try and tie it back to stock prices and multiples, not something we're doing and not something I really see influencing the market or the marketplace. It just makes for a lot of headlines, a lot of talk, a lot of banter, a lot of speculation. We will eventually get closer to finding out who's going to be the contender to what appears to be Biden. But until then, we're really going to focus more on the fundamentals, the monetary policy, and fund flows. I think that's a lot more of what's going to drive capital markets and going to drive opportunities.
Is it just logjam from here until the 2024 general election?
Logjam,
and thus taking, perhaps even in that scenario, taking Washington out of the equation, it is just focusing in on what you mentioned a moment ago.
Yeah, so the big issue for Washington was the debt ceiling.
Yeah.
We did get the debt ceiling done. And now, as we look forward, on the macro front, I think the other big issue is we're going to get a Supreme Court decision on student loan forgiveness. Okay. I think that's probably the most important thing that we're going to see. That has little to nothing to do with Congress. In the debt ceiling, they did say that you do have to pay back your student loan. I believe it was the end of August, maybe beginning September. But that was going to happen anyway. Right. The biggest decision is that student loan forgiveness, and I believe we're going to get that answer by the end of the month.
Unless President Biden somehow manages to get something through Congress on that front, but that's probably a
there was some language in the debt ceiling saying that unless it's emergency, you can't put a moratorium back on. So I think they've really tied his hands.
They would have to write something entirely new.
Yes.
Yeah. Chris, thanks for being here. Thanks for playing ball with some of these questions. Appreciate it. Chris Harvey, Wells Fargo head of equity strategy. Really appreciate it.